When I caught my wife in an intimate embrace with her male assistant while on a business trip, when I confronted her, she turned the tables, accusing me of stalking and being petty. Her assistant even insulted and drove away my clients. She spread rumors of my company's impending bankruptcy, and even colluded with her assistant to drug me and seize control of the company. I immediately removed her from her position. Later, she brought her assistant to beg for forgiveness, and falsely claimed to be pregnant with my child. I presented the intimate videos and recordings of their conspiracy, exposing her lies before divorcing her. To retaliate, she tried to steal my business, but I collaborated with my clients and brought down her family's business. Ultimately, the assistant was sent abroad and subjected to torment, while she, herself jumped to her death in despair. Mr. Hayes, with your connections in the industry, it's a shame you're still just a sales manager. I truly feel you're being undervalued. If you're willing, the president's position for our group's North American operations is yours for the taking. Inside a private room at the Grandeur Club, my client raised his glass to me, again, his sincerity palpable. I'll consider it. I smiled, raising my glass. Mr. Peterson, let's sign the contract first, shall we? With this export deal settled, I can finally take a break. There are also some personal matters I need to handle properly during this vacation. Just then, the door to the private room was suddenly pushed open. This is Sophia Carter, president of Kuiwan Trading. How could the Grandeur Club not even give her a private room? The man speaking was tall and quite handsome, but had a somewhat slick, if manate look about him. He was holding a woman in his arms, none other than my wife, Sophia Carter. Sophia Carter had clearly been drinking. She was tipsy, and I could clearly see her hand tightly wrapped around the man's waist. That man was her assistant from the president's office, named Chad. Daniel Hayes, what are you doing here? Upon seeing me, Chad's tone was surprisingly accusatory. Business. I responded with a smile, completely devoid of emotion. For a competent businessman, controlling one's emotions is a mandatory lesson, even if I had potentially been cheated on. Rumors had been circulating in the company for a while. After all, Sophia Carter had casually used a flimsy excuse to reward Chad with an expensive sports car in the company's name. I had also asked Sophia Carter, telling her to be direct if she had fallen for someone else, and we could have a dignified divorce. But she insisted that she and Chad were innocent, and fearing I wouldn't believe her, she even offered to swear on her life to prove her innocence. I believed her, but never expected to witness this scene with my own eyes. Upon hearing my voice, Sophia Carter quickly pushed Chad away, a flicker of panic in her eyes. Yet she offered no explanation. Instead, her anger turning to aggression as she demanded, Daniel Hayes, are you stalking me? Speak logically. I pointed to the food and drinks on the table and said, I arranged to meet a client here for business. I've been here for almost an hour. Do you really think a stalker arrives before the person they're stalking? Mr. Peterson quickly added, that's right, Ms. Carter. Mr. Hayes and I have been here for a while. He was a bit awkward, after all, even a fool could see that I had been cheated on. However, I could see the excitement hidden in his eyes. He probably couldn't wait for me to get divorced and then join his company. Who do you think you are? Interrupting Ms. Carter, when she's speaking. Chad pointed at Mr. Peterson and cursed, then said to Sophia Carter, Sophia, Daniel Hayes must have known you were coming here, and he knew you liked this private room, so he deliberately waited for you here just to embarrass you. Daniel Hayes, you're too scheming. It's disgusting. Sophia Carter immediately believed Chad's words, pointing at me and saying, I never thought you'd be so small-minded. I've told you countless times that Chad and I only have a subordinate-superior relationship, yet you don't trust me at all. At this, Mr. Peterson's expression also turned cold, a murderous glint appearing in his eyes. He was in import-export trade, constantly operating in volatile regions abroad, and had built his empire through cutthroat deals. When he started, I pressed Mr. Peterson's hand, nodded, and then stood up, walking towards Sophia Carter and Chad, standing before them. Chad pointed at me and said, Why are you getting so close? Did I expose you, making your anger turn to aggression? Sophia Carter glared at me, and said, Daniel Hayes, don't you trust me? Even after all this, she could still ask about trust. Trust or not, those are minor matters. I loosened my tie, my gaze coldly fixed on Chad, and said, The big issue to resolve now is that you need to apologize to Mr. Peterson. Me? Apologize to him? Chad scoffed, saying, I'm Sophia's special assistant, and he's just a client of you, a mere sales manager. Does he even deserve my apology? I'll make you apologize. I nodded, then instantly grabbed Chad's hair, and, with a slight tug, threw him away. Before he could regain his footing, I kicked him behind the knee, forcing him to his knees in front of Mr. Peterson. I then shattered a wine bottle, pressing a sharp piece of glass against Chad's face. I'll say this one last time, apologize, or I'll cripple you. Alright, I'm so sorry, Mr. Peterson. Chad was so terrified he started crying, and even wet himself. Mr. Peterson said nothing. He stood up, buttoned his suit jacket, and gave me an appreciative look. Mr. Hayes, my offer stands. Contact me anytime. You handle your family matters first. With that, he left. Oi! Sophia Carter shrieked, ran to Chad's side, knelt down, and glared up at me, yelling, Daniel Hayes, are you insane? How dare you hit Chad? Even if you're experiencing jealousy, there has to be a limit. Jealousy. I sat back down, slowly wiping my hands with a linen napkin. Sophia Carter, you're mistaken. I have no jealousy whatsoever. I hit him because he offended my client. Every single one of my clients is a valuable connection, and I must protect them. That's all. At this moment, I still showed no emotional fluctuation. Did I not love Sophia Carter? Of course not. Otherwise, after all my hard work building this company, why would I have made her president just to save face for her? But at the same time, I am a very rational person. When impurity appears in a marriage, I will cut ties immediately. Why aren't you feeling jealousy? Sophia Carter asked, looking somewhat bewildered. I simply gave her a cold glance, and said, Sophia Carter, when I loved you, you were the stars in my sky. Now that you're impure, you're just a piece of trash. No one gets jealous over trash. You're calling me trash. No, you mean you don't love me anymore. Sophia Carter's eyes were filled with fear. I lit a cigarette, crossed my legs, and said, Sophia Carter, we've been together for 7 years, haven't we? You should have at least some understanding of me. I wouldn't even share a shirt with my brother. Do you honestly think I'd tolerate being with a woman who's been with someone else? With that, I stood up, intending to leave. No one touched me. Sophia Carter ran over, embracing me from behind. Husband, you've truly misunderstood. Chad and I have nothing going on. I was just drunk, and he was simply helping me. I frowned in disgust, loosening my grip on the cigarette. The cigarette fell, touching the back of her hand. She winced in pain, and let go. You were embracing each other. Do you still need to explain? I've been drunk many times on business. Have you ever seen a woman help me walk? I scoffed. I'll instruct my lawyer to draft the divorce papers. Let's get divorced. No, I won't divorce. Sophia Carter burst into tears, but lacked the courage to chase after me. Chad quickly rushed over and said, Don't be afraid, Sophia. You're the president of the company. If he causes trouble, just fire him. What are you afraid of from a freeloader like him? Before returning to the company, I called the shareholders. When I returned to the company, I noticed the employees looking at me strangely. I didn't pay much attention and went back to my office. Ethan Hayes, the VP of Sales, rushed into my office and handed me his phone. It was the company-wide chat group. Chad had tagged everyone and sent a message, Sales Manager Daniel Hayes has been fired. No wonder the employees had looked at me strangely, this was why. I say, man, whose company is this anyway? Ethan Hayes said discontentedly, this perfectly good company has been ruined by your wife. The whole company is talking about you being cheated on, and that Chad acts like he owns the place. If this continues, my family will withdraw our shares. I can handle it. You go on with your work. I waved my hand. Ethan Hayes then said with some concern, if you're feeling down, I'll drink with you. I'm not the one who made a mistake. Why should I punish myself with alcohol? I smiled and said, don't worry, man, I can handle it. Besides, on the way back, I'd already spoken with your dad on the phone. Ethan Hayes nodded and left. But at the door, he suddenly said, Chloe Hayes is back in the country. I still think you'd make a good brother-in-law. I ignored him and continued with my work. After finishing up, I had my driver take me home. The moment I stepped through the door, I smelled food. Sophia Carter's voice came from the kitchen. Husband. Is that you? I've made your favorite meal. Come wash your hands quickly. I scoffed, because I saw another man's shoes at the entrance. It had to be Chad's. Is this woman brain damaged? How dare she bring Chad home? I changed my shoes and walked in, only to see Chad in the kitchen, holding a piece of meat and feeding it to Sophia Carter. Sophia Carter was beaming with joy. They were definitely in love. Husband. Sophia Carter immediately panicked upon seeing me. Don't misunderstand, I was just tasting it for saltiness, and my hands were full, so I asked Chad to help. No need to explain. And by the way, you don't need to call me husband anymore. I took the divorce agreement from my briefcase and said, sign this, and we'll finalize the divorce tomorrow. Sophia Carter looked at me, her face full of disbelief. Husband, are you really going to divorce me? Daniel Hayes, you're absolutely shameless. I, Sophia, have already given you face, humbled myself to cook for you. What more could you be unsatisfied with? Chad pointed at me and cursed loudly. I've personally come to your house to apologize. What more do you want? Let me tell you, don't push your luck. Hearing this, I smiled. I took off my suit jacket, slowly removed my watch, and loosened my tie as I asked, Chad, do you think too highly of yourself? What do you mean you personally came to apologize? Is your apology worth something? How are you any better than me? I'm the president's special assistant, second only to the president herself. Who do you think you are? You're just a sales manager. If you weren't Sophia's husband, you wouldn't even be qualified to speak to me. As Chad spoke, he rushed towards me. I casually kicked him, but he charged at me again. This time, he latched onto my arm, gritting his teeth and whispering, hit me, go on. The more you hit me, the worse you'll look in Sophia's eyes. When you two divorce, I'll take your place. I smiled again, too lazy to hit him. Instead, I patted his shoulder and said, young man, have you been watching some idiotic TV show? Do you think a high-stakes game of power is a child's game? What do you mean? Chad didn't understand at all. I shook my head and chuckled. Since that's the case, let's get everyone here and talk. Not long after, Sophia Carter's entire family arrived. Mr. Carter and Mrs. Carter had always been quite good to me. Although I didn't come from a prominent background, everything I possess now makes me part of the elite. Moreover, everything I own I built myself, with no relation to the Carter family whatsoever. Therefore, Mr. Carter and Mrs. Carter had always thought highly of me. Daniel, what exactly is going on? Mr. Carter rubbed his hands. He had heard I was divorcing and was now quite agitated. I pointed to Sophia Carter and Chad and said, they're involved with each other. This Chad here even provoked me to hit him just now, wanting me to appear despicable in front of Sophia Carter so we'd divorce, and he could take my place. Upon hearing this, Mr. Carter's expression immediately turned cold. Mrs. Carter pointed at Chad and angrily cursed, you piece of trash, trying to climb the social ladder with such a despicable method. Do you really think you're worthy? Mr. Carter gritted his teeth and said, I'd rather disown this daughter than let you set foot in the Carter family's home. Just then, Andrew Carter arrived. He was my brother-in-law. He clearly knew everything and said to me with a cold face, Daniel, leave this to me. I'll make sure he disappears. Sophia, say something. Chad was terrified. He hadn't expected the Carter family to protect me so fiercely. Sophia Carter ignored him, simply crying as she said to me, husband, I truly know I was wrong. Please give me another chance. Chad, however, spoke first, I'm not convinced. Daniel Hayes and I both come from humble backgrounds, so why can your Carter family accept him, but not me? You listen carefully. When I, Daniel, was in college, I was already starting my own business. Although it was small, I never asked for help from our Carter family. Later, when the business grew, I, Daniel, even gave up the president's position to my sister to help her save face. We've all witnessed how I, Daniel, rose from humble beginnings to where I am today. And you? Who do you think you are? You want to climb the ladder by seducing a married woman. Andrew Carter scoffed. Let me tell you something that will make you truly despair. Even if my sister were brain damaged enough to actually marry you, nothing of the Carter family would be yours. Don't forget, I'm the heir to the Carter family. Chad's face was filled with despair, but Sophia Carter didn't speak up for him. I looked at him and said, the elite aren't brain damaged. Those who lack ability and try to take shortcuts are trash in any social class. Then I told the Carter family that the divorce was non-negotiable. They were helpless and could only take Sophia Carter away for the time being. I could see that Sophia Carter didn't actually want a divorce, but realizing her mistake now was too late. As for whether I felt sad. With so many years of feelings gone, it certainly didn't feel good inside, but I wouldn't torture myself over it. After a night's rest, I arrived at the company early the next day. An employee told me Sophia Carter had called a board meeting, and that I should go to the conference room as soon as I arrived. What was she up to? I entered the conference room, and saw Chad sitting in my chair, and the shareholders looked at me strangely. I found a random seat, and looked at Sophia Carter, who was in the main chair. What do you want? Sophia Carter, her face cold, stared fixedly at me and said, Daniel Hayes, I'll give you two choices, either resign, or remain married to me. Divorce. I said without hesitation. Sophia Carter trembled with rage, but still said, fine. Then I announce your dismissal from all positions at Kuiwan Trading. Chad looked at me, his face full of provocation. Daniel Hayes, even if I don't get anything from the Carter family, this company will have my share in the future. Your share? Who do you think you are? I glanced over casually, and said, Do you really think Sophia Carter will marry you? Chad looked back confidently, clearly convinced of his success. Sophia Carter, however, coldly told him, I've told you before, you and I have only a regular subordinate-superior relationship. Don't overthink things. Sophia. How could you do this? Chad was on the verge of a breakdown. Sophia Carter, her face a mask of frost, said, putting aside that nothing happened between us, even if something did happen between us, and I truly divorced Daniel Hayes, I would never marry someone like you. What kind of person am I? Chad was stunned. You want to climb the ladder by relying on a woman, isn't that right? Sophia Carter stared at him, and said, I was good to you because Daniel Hayes no longer had the same passion for me as before, and I merely wanted to make him jealous. Even going to the Grandeur Club yesterday, I only went because I knew Daniel Hayes would be there. Otherwise, I normally wouldn't let you get close to me, so why would I let you hold me yesterday? Chad's world seemed to crumble. He was utterly devastated. Sophia Carter no longer looked at him, instead turning to me, and saying, Husband, I truly have no relationship with him. I simply wanted to make you jealous. I know I went too far, but I think you know how much I love you. Just give me a chance. Divorce. I looked at her indifferently, without a hint of emotion. I won't go back on a decision once it's made. And besides, I truly found her impure. Even if it was just an act, but she was embraced by Chad, and for that, I will never forgive her. Everyone has a bottom line, and she crossed mine. Daniel Hayes, if you insist on a divorce, then I'll have no choice but to fire you. You founded this company yourself. I know better than anyone how much this company means to you. Sophia Carter said. I shook my head and smiled. It's true you're the president, but I hold 65% of the company's shares. I am the owner of this company, and you are nothing. This. Sophia Carter froze, as if the thought had just occurred to her. Initially, I wanted to give her half of the shares, but the shareholders disagreed. Why? Because the Carter family is a powerful entity. If Sophia Carter held a large number of shares and was also the registered agent, she could inject capital at any time to dilute the shares, and the shareholders would be the biggest victims. However, the shareholders trusted me. When I started my business, they were the initial investors, so they naturally understood my character. But the Carter family, with its substantial influence, was composed of pure businessmen, whom they couldn't trust. So, the shares remained in my hands. I pointed to the conference room door, and said, all right, all your positions have been revoked. Please leave, and don't interrupt our meeting. Sophia Carter looked at me blankly and helplessly, unable to utter a single word, slumped defeatedly in her chair. I then looked at Chad and said, young man, do you understand now what a high-stakes game of power is? Chad opened his mouth, but couldn't utter a single sound. I couldn't be bothered with them anymore. I called security and had them both escorted out. The board meeting concluded, and the shareholders left, all quite satisfied. Inside the company, however, there was some unease. I asked around and found out that someone was spreading rumors. The rumors were essentially that the Carter family was the largest shareholder, and they were now withdrawing their investment, meaning the company was doomed. Middle and upper management, of course, knew what was really going on. But the lower-level employees didn't know. Some believed it, others were half convinced, and all thought they might lose their jobs. I had Ethan Hayes investigate, and it turned out the rumor spreaders were Sophia Carter's people. After all, as president, it was easy for her to place her own people within the company. But these weren't important positions, so I hadn't taken them seriously before. And previously, I had implicitly trusted Sophia Carter, so I wouldn't have had any suspicions. Now, with these people working together, they did cause a minor disturbance. However, these pawns could simply be fired without any impact on the company. These individuals were quickly dismissed. The company also issued a public announcement, clarifying that I was the true owner of the company, and only then did the lower-level employees settle down. Sitting in the president's office, I felt a little uneasy, because my desk was covered with photos of Sophia Carter and me. Most of these photos were from our college days. I took a deep breath and planned to have someone clear them out. But then I saw a diary. When I opened it, it was Sophia Carter's handwriting. There wasn't much written, but it still made me feel a little upset. Daniel is getting busier and busier. It's been a long time since he took me to a movie. Business isn't really that important, is it? Daniel and I already have enough money to last us the rest of our lives. An intern arrived, all slick and powdered. He tried to seduce me, which was quite amusing. I could use this little amusement to make Daniel jealous. I closed the diary, not wanting to read any more. It wasn't that I was wavering, I just felt a little regret. She must have forgotten that I promised her I'd earn enough money to retire before I turned 40, and then take her traveling the world. That's why I worked so hard. Just then, someone knocked on the office door. Then Chloe Hayes entered. Chloe Hayes is Ethan Hayes' sister. She was 5 years younger than me. I remember she got drunk on her coming-of-age ceremony, and secretly confessed her feelings to me. That day she told me, "Dan, I won't ruin your relationship with Sophia, but you're the first person I've ever loved, and I'd regret it if I didn't say it. Don't feel burdened. Anyway, I'm going abroad soon." Indeed, I felt no burden, and I admired her candidness. After many years apart, she had grown even more beautiful. "Dan, my brother said you need an assistant, so he sent me to help," Chloe Hayes said shyly. I nodded and said, "Have someone clean up. Bring my office items over here, and as for these, burn them." I left the company soon after. Back home, I had someone pack up all of Sophia Carter's belongings. However, the house was filled with traces she had left behind. Cute matching toothbrushes, simple, loose matching pajamas, and the kitchenware she had meticulously prepared in the kitchen. Even the refrigerator was still covered with notes she had left. In her delicate handwriting, she had repeatedly written, "I love you." Perhaps, I really should give her another chance. I felt a little conflicted. Just then, my phone rang. I opened it and saw a picture sent by Ethan Hayes. On a beach, Sophia Carter was bare-backed, and Chad was applying sunscreen to her. Below it, there was also a short video. After I clicked on that video, I cursed myself for being a fool. Just moments ago, I had actually wavered. At that very moment, Sophia Carter and Chad arrived again. Chad was shirtless, with thorny branches on his back, and upon entering, he immediately knelt before me. "Mr. Hayes, I'm here begging for forgiveness, carrying a symbolic offering of profound regret. I did want to climb the ladder by relying on Ms. Carter, but as Ms. Carter said, she gave me no chance whatsoever. Now I have nothing left, but I believe one should still have a conscience. I only ask that you forgive Sophia." After Chad finished speaking, he kept kowtowing to me. Sophia Carter cried, "Husband, I truly was wrong. Just give me a chance." I turned off my phone, acting as if I hadn't just seen anything. "Let's divorce. This is the best outcome," I said meaningfully. Sophia Carter, however, shook her head. "Husband, I won't divorce you. Even if you don't want to give me a chance, you have to give our child a chance. I'm pregnant. I'm having our baby. Are you sure you don't want a divorce?" I asked. Sophia Carter nodded. I nodded too. "All right then, no divorce." Chad immediately said, "Mr. Hayes, rest assured, I will disappear from your lives." And then, he ran off. Sophia Carter wept tears of joy. I said nothing, instructing them to stop packing, and return everything to its original place. Sophia Carter quickly went to cook for me, but I decided to leave halfway through her cooking. "Husband, where are you going?" Sophia Carter asked pitifully. I glanced at her and said, "Chloe Hayes is back in the country. We have dinner plans. You eat by yourself." "But husband, she likes you. Shouldn't you avoid suspicion?" Sophia Carter asked, somewhat agitated. I looked at her and asked, "Either don't question me, or divorce. Choose one." "I won't question you, husband. I trust you," Sophia Carter said with a bitter expression. I nodded, said nothing more, and left directly. As for Chloe Hayes, I really did have dinner plans with her. She missed the diner near her high school, so we went there to eat. It was very greasy and spicy. We also drank ice-cold beer, and as a result, we both got stomach aches before even finishing our meal. The diner only had one restroom, so we took turns. By the time we left, we were both completely drained. Chloe Hayes, in a white dress, sighed and said, "Dan, this reunion is anything but romantic." I nodded in agreement, saying, "The boss just asked me why we were having greasy fried food in the bathroom." "Greasy fried food? Are you talking about the sounds from the restroom?" Chloe Hayes' face flushed, but she couldn't stop laughing. When we got tired of walking, we got into the car and had the driver take her home. However, Ethan Hayes kept me there, saying he wanted to have some drinks with me. I first took some anti-diarrhea medicine, before continuing to eat and drink with Ethan Hayes. Soon after, Chloe Hayes also joined us. "Man, the cooperation with Mr. Peterson's side is fine, right?" Ethan Hayes asked with a smile. I nodded. "Mr. Peterson and I have a very good personal relationship. Last year, his security company over there needed weapons, and I introduced him to a domestic broker, which solved the problem. So there won't be any issues with the cooperation. Then this is a big deal, enough to keep the company going for 3 years." Ethan Hayes smiled, then immediately changed the subject. "I'm not worried about you when it comes to business, but how exactly are you going to resolve this marriage problem?" I smiled and said nothing. Chloe Hayes kicked Ethan Hayes under the table, and only then did he bite the bullet and say, "Anyway, I've decided you're going to be my brother-in-law. You figure it out." "Oh, brother, what are you doing?" Chloe Hayes pretended to be shy, but couldn't help but laugh. Ethan Hayes glared at her, then said to me, "This girl hasn't stopped thinking about you since the day she met you. She hasn't dated anyone for years. I guess what you yearn for comes back to you. You should consider it." I nodded. "Let's take it slow. We need to spend some time getting to know each other first." After more than half a month of spending time together, Chloe Hayes and I officially started a relationship. She was simply too proactive, and I found myself a little overwhelmed. But Sophia Carter and I still weren't divorced. I would occasionally go home, and I even brought Chloe Hayes back once. Sophia Carter saw this but didn't make a scene. She just cried in secret. As her belly grew larger, I went home less and less. Later, Andrew Carter even confronted me a few times. He respected me greatly, but Sophia Carter was, after all, his sister. His exact words were, "Daniel, my sister can tolerate you having another woman. But now she's about to give birth. It's not right for you not to go back and take care of her, is it?" I didn't say anything, just gave a perfunctory response. Although the Carter family was very influential, my company's influence was also significant now, so they wouldn't rashly do anything. It wasn't until Sophia Carter gave birth that I took Chloe Hayes to the maternity clinic. The Carter family's attitude towards me was already much colder than before, though we hadn't completely fallen out. Sophia Carter lay on the hospital bed, smiling bitterly as she said to me, "Husband, please look at the baby. It's not my child." "Why would I look?" I scoffed. Sophia Carter froze, then burst into tears. "Husband, what are you saying? Besides you, I've never been with another man. How could it not be your child?" "Sophia Carter, I told you that divorce was the best outcome, but you chose this despicable path. Don't blame me then." I took out my phone, found that short video, and tossed it onto the hospital bed. The Carter family members all crowded around, then saw the shocking scenes of Sophia Carter and Chad. I calculated the time. "This child cannot be mine." Mr. Carter gritted his teeth and said, "Then why didn't you say something sooner?" She herself chose to abandon her dignity. I gave her a chance. I then found another video and played it, saying, "See for yourselves. Sophia, now that you have my child, just blame it on Daniel Hayes. Once the baby is born, drug him, let him slowly die, and everything in the company will be ours. Daniel Hayes is very smart. We might not be able to fool him. Then what should we do? Let's think of a way. I need to prepare some things in advance to make him believe I've always loved him, like photos or a diary." I put away my phone and looked at the pale Sophia Carter, asking, "Honestly, I really want to know, what did you ever see in Chad?" Sophia Carter gave a bitter smile after her despair, then sighed, and said, "One wrong step led to another. Initially, he just drugged me and then blackmailed me with videos. After that, I was led by the nose. My family also sided with you, even telling me that if I divorced, I wouldn't even be able to return to the Carter family. So I had no choice but to target you. So, even on the day of the board meeting, you were acting?" I asked. Sophia Carter nodded. I looked at the Carter family and said, "I will divorce Sophia Carter. You have nothing to say about that, do you?" They were all speechless, but I could see their resentment towards me. In their minds, I should have revealed all this earlier. But why? If they dare to mess with me, they have to be messed with. Do they think I'm made of mud? Not long after, Sophia Carter and I divorced. Then, the Carter family began to secretly poach my business. Later, Mr. Peterson and I devised a plan that caused the Carter family to lose a substantial amount, and then we began to gradually take over their business. Chad was also part of this scheme. He was sent to the country where Mr. Peterson was based, and then he was arrested. He didn't die, but his life was worse than death. He was tortured every day. As for the Carter family, it completely collapsed 6 months later, and Sophia Carter jumped to her death in despair. Before she died, she even called me, saying she was also a victim of Chad's, and if she hadn't been drugged, none of this would have happened. I didn't respond, because if she hadn't given him the opportunity, how could Chad have drugged her? Chloe Hayes and I also got married at the end of the year, starting a new life.